Hi, my name is Vivian, and today I'm going to be talking to you about recidivism. So, recidivism, the significance of reducing it. What is recidivism exactly? Recidivism is the tendency of a formerly incarcerated individual to reoffend. To provide a better picture of what it is, this is recidivism. So, upon being, of course, convicted and going to jail, after you finish your time, you leave and go back into the community. But recidivism is the part where you go right back into the system because you committed a similar crime or the same crime. And the reason as to why I decided to focus on this is because a lot of individuals tend to not focus on what happened to people after leaving prison, which the majority of the time is just going right back into the system. So, defining the problem. In the US, approximately 2.3 million people are stuck within our justice system. Each year, more than 600,000 people are brought to prison, and each year, people are brought to jail like about 10.6 million times. These are very high numbers, and like I said, a lot of these aren't newcomers. They're not people who just enter the system for the first time. They're people who continuously have returned to prison 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And with such a repeated cycle, you want to be able to look at the reasons why, because it isn't just there because people decided to make wrong decisions. There's a reason why, so why so many people keep returning. So, like I said, the barriers to reintegration. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of obstacles as to why these people keep returning, but to have a focus, I decided to look at unemployment and mental health specifically. So, unemployment. Formerly incarcerated individuals are employed at a rate of more than 27%. They're 5 times more likely than the general population to find a job. And the reason as to why is because there's a lot of stigma around these individuals. So, a lot of employers perceive these individuals or perceive individuals with criminal records to be more dangerous or to be more unstable, and so they refuse to hire them. In a study conducted from May to November in 2001 in LA County of more than 600 employers, more than 40% of them said that they probably not or would never hire someone with a criminal record for a position where a college degree isn't needed. So with such a high recidivism rate, 40%, it should not be the case. It should be lower. People need money in order to afford proper housing or in order to afford food to keep their stomach full. But if they're living on the streets and they are constantly starving, they're going to resort to crimes that led them into the system in the first place, such as dealing drugs to make quick money or stealing in order to find food or find what they need in order to live. Now, for mental health. Of course, individuals with severe mental health illnesses are more likely to recidivate than those who don't. In a study from 2003 to 2007 of 20,112 inmates in the jail system of Philadelphia, those with severe mental health illnesses face a recidivism rate of 54%. That is more than half. A case that I decided to look at specifically was one belonging to an ACT psychiatrist named Lindsay Rose Dykema, who talked about a schizophrenic male that she treated that went to prison for 5 years because he decided to set a sign outside of a restaurant on fire because according to him, God told him to do it. And this is a clear sign of someone with schizophrenia. But upon entering prison, rather than receiving the proper treatment he needed for schizophrenia, and they just they just locked him up in solitary confinement. And because of that, he went crazy. He thought they were going to torture him, and so in order to prevent that from happening, he tortured himself. So he basically tried to do it first. And what he did was he plucked his own eyeballs, blinding himself. This could have been prevented. This could have been avoided if he had talked to proper people who knew how to deal with schizophrenia, receive proper medication, but instead they just threw him away like he was some object, and he is now obviously struggling with, in addition to schizophrenia, with blindness as well. So let's backtrack. Again, why the focus on recidivism? As I had mentioned many times, a lot of people in our justice system are people who are returning. And there's clear reasons as to why, but people choose not to focus. A lot of people tend to talk about how to prevent those from entering prison to the first place. how to keep on the right track, but they're forgetting about the people who are already in the system and who keep returning. And that's the reason why I decided to focus on recidivism. And there's a lot of barriers too. I mentioned unemployment and mental health, two things that we need to look at, because these are two of the main reasons as to why they keep on recidivating. But there's so many more. I have done some research in this type of field before, where I talk to very vulnerable populations, such as homeless people, like such as people who don't have a home, or like I said, ex-convicts. And an expert that stood out to me was a daughter to both incarcerated parents. She was very active in her mother's transition from the justice system back into the community. The reason why I decided to include her in my presentation was because of something that she said that stood out to me. She said, "Mom is a success story because of how powerful it is to be able to go back into the prison you were once an inmate at, look at the guard in the face, and say, 'I'm not who you thought I was. I can change my life.'" This is so important to me because this is exactly why I decided to focus on recidivism. A lot of these people aren't a lost cause. They can change if given the chance, but it's because because they don't have what they need in order, they can't just do what they can after leaving prison, from like being in prison for 20-25 years. They're not going to be able to just get a job and be able to function properly like all of us can. They need a lot of extra care and a lot of assistance, but just because they need that extra push, that doesn't mean they can't go back, they can't stay in the community, become a helpful and a positive team member. So this is an example, and this is why I chose to put her in it, because it stood out to me, and this is the reason why I decided to focus on this topic. So this shows my we're excited, but thank you for attending my presentation.